I am Andrew Ryan, and I'm here to ask you a question. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow, it belongs to everyone. I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose rapture.
Yeah, boy, it's Deep Sea Tycoon. You remember how fun Roller Coaster Tycoon was, right? You remember how fun Sea Tycoon was?
Play Zoo Tycoon 2. Build your dream zoo and get closer to the animals than ever.
Well, this is nothing like that. Back in the early 2000s, based on the success of the aforementioned Tycoon titles, companies from across the globe decided to jump in on this untrademarked cash cow by releasing a slew of utterly terrible games aimed at kids, teenagers, adults, who knows? And I fucking bought it in England in a charity shop or garden centre where you'd find utter rubbish like train simulators and house builders and edutainment titles, but for some reason I was obsessed with games where you could build things, and I loved games set under the ocean, so I bought it. And honestly, I may own one of maximum 40 of these that still exist in the world today, because you cannot find hardly any information about this game anywhere on the internet, and the few physical copies selling on Amazon are going for the whopping price of a single penny. And let me tell you, even that was too much. So let me get into this game, because you, like myself, may have been scammed in your younger years, and may even look back semi-fondly on a game that you know now was rubbish and nobody else has even heard of. So anyway, here's Deep Sea Tycoon. You load the game up and you're greeted by this pretty decent music. Although it still unnerves me a bit. And there's an array of interesting but poorly photoshopped characters. Nearly all of them are just bad jokes or movie references. There's Absent Mindstein, How to D2, Indiana James, Geordie Lee Dredd, etc.
I should have put you down myself. Personally.
You know, I never understood that. Why did you judge me? Why did you judge me?
You killed innocent people.
The means to an end.
You started a massacre.
I caused the revolution.
You betrayed the law!
Law!
And they all have 3 different stats that affect the game. However, literally none of these are important because of how easy the game is. There's no significant differences which fundamentally change the gameplay, so it just comes down to picking whoever you're least afraid of. Ugh.
Look at the top of his head!
There's no options menu on the selection screen, which is a bit weird. It's only in game, but there is an extensive tutorial, which is great, but it's not connected. Each tutorial lesson is about 20 seconds long, and when you complete it, it doesn't automatically roll on to the next one. You have to exit out of the tutorial and then go select the second, then go select the third. It's so time consuming. And don't even bother with the story mode, it's just a bunch of inane simple objectives. Let's just go straight into Sandbox Mode, because that's where the real meat of the game lies. There's a healthy variety of maps to choose from, such as the Caribbean Islands, Atlantic Ocean and the Abyss. However, the Loch Ness is only barely connected to the ocean, and can you imagine building a city there? Why didn't Andrew Ryan think of building Rapture in the heart of old Scotland? If you really want to know what this game's like, then it's probably best to think of SimCity. It's vaguely similar. You can manipulate the terrain, although incredibly simplistically and only on a small grid. And the only basic resources you need to manage are people, food, air, money and power. You start by building your home base and then expand with other homes and supermarkets, schools, entertainment facilities, etc. You can connect the buildings via tubes you see people walking through, but similarly you can just place buildings right next to each other for the same effect. And that just really removes any thought you need to give to building placement and lets you just spam stuff anywhere because the distance between things doesn't have any impact on any gameplay functions. Nobody has to walk to work, even if it's on the other side of the map for example. The building will just start operating automatically. You can also connect buildings via short distance city subs if you want to avoid rough terrain, but there's no visual for it. It's supposed to be a taxi service, but what the fuck is this graphic for it? Some weird antenna thing. I think it was supposed to serve another function originally and then they swapped it at the last minute without making a unique design. Speaking of graphics, for the most part I actually think this game looks fairly good. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the graphical artist was outsourced because it's the only semi-competent aspect of this game, possibly besides the music. The light shafts that reflect off of the sea floor are quite mesmerising and relaxing. The sea life similarly looks okay-ish for 2003 given that this game needed to run a lot of things on the screen at one time and on low quality computers. The buildings are whimsical and outlandish but do a good job of conveying what their function is at a momentary glance. The game takes place on a grid with varying terrain, although it's annoying that the inaccessible background around you is all flat. It just looks fucking lazy. I do kind of like the retro future look however, which is portrayed brilliantly in these green bubble homes. I just wish the buildings had a little bit more of a uniform look, because once you've built an entire city, and in this map I literally built every single building in the entire game, there's just so many bright colours and crazy designs that I get visual whiplash from moving the camera around. Now, I must know, just because I think the graphics are okay does not mean I think the animations are okay. Like I said earlier, there's not even any animations for the city subs people supposedly travel around in. In fact, this game, and I say this without exaggeration, must have the worst animation in any video game ever, period. And I've seen a lot of Mandalore Gaming's videos. Try to find anything worse than this.
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the. No, 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 no. Look at the top of his head.
Zooming into your city and seeing your citizens live their lives is one of the funnest aspects of a tycoon game, and just look at this. Can this even be classified as animation? It's motion tweening. These models don't even stand up correctly, half of them are clipping through other objects, and the vast majority of them don't even fucking move. It's horrendous. And I used to love this when I was younger. I loved zooming in into all the buildings. I'd do it for hours. I don't know what was wrong with me. Well, at least there was the actual gameplay to keep me invested, right? Nope, there is none. What do you have to do in any tycoon game? You have to earn more money than you spend and keep people happy. Well, the people don't actually exist. That's just random animation that happens automatically in those tubes. It doesn't reflect on how many people are in your city or where they're going. There's a menu to see their thoughts, but it only cycles between a few incredibly basic phrases. You can't click on anybody, nobody has a unique name, the game is empty. Okay, so there's the money aspect still left. Well, there's a few ways to do that. You can earn money through tourism, a prison population, and through buildings. The buildings have stuff like oil drilling facilities, pearl farming, gold mining, etc., which get a finite amount of resources depending on the location until the well runs dry. There's also fishing, so start a game, place down 1 or 2 fishing buildings, add about 3 to 4 cannery buildings to increase the price you sell fish. Click auto sell, which cycles between whoever's paying the highest price, Atlanteans or humans, and you're done. You're now earning enough money to do literally whatever you want. You can build anything with this, max out your loans, whatever. See this shit? None of it matters. I barely even know what it does. This game is so insanely easy to overcome that I genuinely wouldn't even classify this as a video game. It's more of a building and relaxation experience, like an interactive screensaver or something. Wide as a fucking ocean and as deep as a paddling pool. The truth is that you can build everything in this game in about 3 to 4 minutes without any thought or complexity. It doesn't matter if you place a luxury hotel right next to an oil drilling station and a maximum security prison. Nothing matters. So what do you have left to do with your time? Well, you can create sea life in the various buildings you place around the map. It's kind of fun to see how many turtles, whales and dolphins you can spam, but there's not much else. But there are disasters, just like SimCity, and they're kind of a laugh. You can sink an ocean liner which falls somewhere randomly on the map. That looks pretty cool. You can make a giant whirlpool, that's fun. The earthquake is probably the best just because the screen goes into a fit. And oh, you can be raided by a giant squid, pirates, nuclear subs and Atlanteans. All a letdown, they suck. One military building can defeat them and they can't raid you randomly when you're on the sandbox, so they're not even really a gameplay feature unless you're in the story mode. There are so many cut corners here and a stunning lack of thought that it just screams that the developers didn't give a fuck. Like, why is this guy wearing a hat under the ocean? How the fuck is this guy operating machinery on the ocean floor in overalls and a hard hat without drowning? Why the fuck are these women playing a professional tennis match in mini skirts, crop tops and heels? Why the fuck does the camera get stuck outside the bounds of the game so often? And why is the giant squid attack, the coolest sounding thing in this entire game, not work? I clicked on it on every map about 100 times. Where's the giant squid? I want to see it rip somebody open. Wait a minute, that's the giant squid, that's a fucking octopus, you idiots! Why is this game so kid friendly on the surface, but if you want to create a dystopian nightmare city with maximum security prisons, secret police, organ harvesting facilities and a slave economy, you can? Why is the nuclear missile silo, and I repeat, nuclear missile silo, so hilariously weak? How can people go diving at the depth of a fucking humpback whale? Let me look a little deeper into this game. Apparently it also goes by the name Atlantis Underwater Tycoon. In fact, it's the exact same game released in the exact same year. God, they really tried hard to stick that Tycoon title in there, didn't they? I don't have a clue why, but the only visible difference is that Deep Sea Tycoon has the developers Anarchy on the cover while Atlantis has Activision. I also managed to find a review of this game from 2003 by searching under its other title, and you are definitely fucking lying, Chris. I'm glad I could put this right, now that we're in 2018. I wouldn't want anyone wasting their penny on this needlessly. But truth be told, I do fucking like it. Why? Almost purely nostalgia. I remember playing it on my shitty computer and CRTV monitor in my parents' living room late at night with a cup of tea, and that warm blue glow on my face and relaxing soundtrack. I really did well up with emotion after booting it up again. It brought back a lot of fond memories. My best childhood friend and I actually played it together. I used to lend him the CD, and it's been a running joke throughout our entire lives that whenever we come across a physical copy of this game in a charity shop, we buy it and secretly gift it to one another. I actually think I must own 2 or 3 copies of it by now. Anyway, no more. I could continue, but there's no point putting more effort into this than any of the people involved actually did. Thank you for sticking through this. I hope you liked it. Maybe you had a similar obscure shitty game you used to play whenever you were younger and absolutely loved it. I'd like to hear your story. Please post it down in the comments. I honestly find it so interesting what kind of things stick in your mind as a kid. That's all from me, and have a good day, guys.
65% of you is made from the ocean blue. Hey man, I'm telling you, you're gonna love it today.
I should have put you down myself. Personally.
You know, I never understood that.